Hello, I'm just trying to place you so that you're not going to fall down. To put you somewhere else instead. I'm going to put you up on the radiator, but I can't quite fit you. I've basically got a lot of washing just to put away, so put you up there instead. And I haven't done a video for a little while, so I just thought I would, just as I'm kind of sorting the washing into piles, just have a quick chat. I am on a, so basically my son's got chicken pox. He's coping with it very well, but it means that we're not doing a split Saturday, so I'm not taking my children over to my mum and dad's, and we're not doing a split day in the shop. My partner's doing the full day in the shop. So yeah, it's all getting a bit easier in my head. I'm starting to feel a little bit more confident about the changes that have happened. I've downloaded some apps, some Fitify apps to kind of do exercises with, and I've been doing some ab exercises, little 5-minute slots in the morning, because sometimes if I have to do half an hour, I'm a bit like, I don't think I'm going to be able to fit it in, whereas doing kind of just 5 minutes is quite good. And sometimes once you start 5 minutes you think, oh, okay, I'll do another 5 minutes. So I've got lots of different apps, and they're kind of there's an upper body app, there's a an ab app, and there's a flexibility app and a stretching app and those sorts of things. So they're quite useful and handy. And also dealing a bit better with the kind of feelings of deprivation, as it were. I'm starting to feel a bit more safe, I suppose. It's starting to ebb away now. I feel a bit more normal. See, we're still mid-half term at the moment, so there's stresses and strains on that situation, but it's been a bit easier. Sort of thing I was going to say about deprivation. I can't remember now. This is a deprivation thing. Also we've been trying to. So we've made a room upstairs in our workplace suitable for the kids to be in. So when we both go in, the kids come in with us, and then that gives us the opportunity to kind of get a little bit of work done. There's a little space up there for them to be in and watch telly and play with their Lego and that sort of thing. But there's both of us there working, so it means that one or other of us can help them, you know, if they need to, so we're not kind of stuck with customers and things. So that's been working okay. I think I've been really focusing on what I'm getting out of losing the car, as it were, and the joys that can bring. Most of it's guilt. Most of it I feel guilty because I should have been better. But on the other hand, I quite like it without a car. But on the other thing as well, I feel guilty because I feel like maybe I'm putting too much pressure on other people. Because they might feel obliged to give me lifts and things, and I don't really like that. I don't like that. I like to be independent and operate without any assistance. I know it's not really possible, is it? But I feel more comfortable like that. I don't like having help. It makes me feel uncomfortable. And then the other thing is that one of the things I used to struggle with was kind of dealing with issues by buying things. So I would have so I don't know, I think there's a couple of examples. Ages ago, when we used to live in another house, we were in an almighty mess all the time. It was a pretty big mess, and I remember having cardigans, because it was quite big at the time, having to have black cardigans to wear. I can't remember whether I was working at the time, but for some reason I ended up just keeping buying black cardigans or little tops. I think because we had a washing machine, but we didn't have a tumble dryer or anything. We used to have to light a fire and then put our clothes round it to dry it. And I remember lots of scenarios. I was only had one child at the time. I just remember lots of scenarios of having to buy. I'm here. Okay. Let's pause. Okay, so just needed a bit of help. Oh, and before I forget, I weighed myself this morning and I'm 10 stone 6. So just to keep everyone aware of my weight. I don't know why that matters really, but this is a weight loss channel, isn't it? So just to keep you aware that I'm maintaining, everything's going like smooth. I'm not putting on loads of weight, which I'm really happy about. It's all going. I'm really grateful for the fact that I've not put on any weight through all of this trickiness at all, and I'm very, very, very grateful for that. Yeah, thinking about the thing where I used to buy things to make my life easier or make myself happier. I used to spend a lot of money. It was never a lot of money at any one time, but it was always like these just little bits and pieces, you know, a new notebook, some different pens, or I always got this feeling like, you know, you get a void, don't you, that the bit where you like just need something, and sometimes it's food that you end up filling it with, and but it used to be things like, you know, stationery, or just something that it often used to be something that would make me feel like it was mine, like it had something that was mine. I think obviously when you've got children it's tricky, isn't it, because you feel like your kind of life is sometimes being taken away from you because of the changes that occur. So I think having this bit in my life now where I am entirely conscious of my budget, in that everything I spend gets written down. Absolutely nothing that I spend now is frivolous or unthought out. So I write every single thing down in the book that we've got, and I discuss therefore what I'm purchasing. And in a way it's hard, because I can't just pretend to myself that everything's fine and I can spend what I like. But on the other hand, it's so much easier because I've got so much more control over it. And I think now I've realised that Slimming World gives me a sense of control, and that's why it's a really useful way of life. I realise that actually I quite like a sense of control, and it gives me a really kind of a good base to work from. So yeah, I think just a quick little video about kind of, obviously a bit of first world problems, not really proper deprivation, is it? But it's I think probably calling it a change. When you have a change in your lifestyle, sometimes it can kind of have a knock-on effect in yourself, can't it? And it's worth being aware of it, because if you just hide it away, then it can catch you out. But at least if you're aware of it and can see the different effects coming at you, then you can have some sense of like a battle plan, I think, to cope with it. And the other thing I was doing earlier was thinking about so I was watching this program again. I can't remember what it was. Basically about kind of how let's have a quick drink. Yeah, basically about how manufacturers make. Hello. Yeah, it's going to be lunch. Okay, it's coming up to lunchtime. It's about 11:45, so I'll finish this and then finish my drink and then make some lunch. Yeah, I was watching this program about, well, not program, but like kind of YouTube things about how I can't remember what it is. I think it was Michael Moss, talking about how kind of companies achieve the bliss point and that type of thing, and the kind of techniques they use. And one of the aspects, apart from sugar and salt, was fats, and how fats provide a product with a mouthfeel. And I know that obviously on Slimming World, lots of the food is low fat, and that's something I'm always really conscious of, to make sure I've got levels of fat in, because no one wants a diet that's too low in fat, because it's really not good for you, and it's not. So I've been trying to make sure that I include fats in every meal. And Dave was very kind and sent me some peanut butter, and she sent me some crunchy peanut butter and also sent me some smooth peanut butter. So what I've been doing is putting the smooth peanut butter, because I used to obviously just have toast with peanut butter on it, but what I've been doing is having porridge, because porridge is very filling, and it's relatively easy. It takes a little bit of doing, but it's, you know, it's a good nourishing meal for breakfast, and also it's incredibly cheap. So you get like £1.60. You get £1.60 of giant porridge oats from Sainsbury's, and that lasts a really long time. Whereas I can spend a kind of £1 or so on bread, and that doesn't last quite as long, and also it could go mouldy. Or so I've been trying to sort of put myself towards porridge oats, just because it's a cheaper, healthy extra B. And also porridge oats are porridge oats, so no matter where I get them from, it doesn't have to be a specific type of bread to be able to be a healthy extra B. So that's quite good. So what I've been doing, because obviously oats do have an element of fat in, and they do have an element of protein in, and they've got obviously a bit more carbohydrate in, but I've been putting a 15 grams of smooth peanut butter in the porridge, and then just kind of in with the fruit. So I sort of put water with the porridge oats first, just to give them a little bulk up, and that also limits the amount of almond milk I'm using, just because obviously it's just a little bit cheaper, but still I'm putting almond milk in afterwards to ensure that I'm getting enough almond milk, because of all the additions. It's got kind of vitamin D, vitamin B12 and all those things, and calcium, so it's an important part of my diet. But that seems to be working, and it's thinking about the mouthfeel of it. So the mouthfeel of the fats involved in the porridge, because porridge is good, but on the downside it doesn't have the fats in the same way as a piece of toast, and the peanut butter and oranges I used to have was great, because it's got the fats in. Porridge really doesn't, so it will help me feel fuller for longer, just having that little bit of fat layer. And it's worked really well this morning. I had some this morning, and then I had an apple afterwards with my porridge I had. So it was porridge oats, water, almond milk, peanut butter, and sort of apple, like sliced frozen apple, and I think it was raspberries I had with it, frozen raspberries. So I think that's what I'm going for next in my section now, just making sure that I'm got some fats in every meal, and obviously continuing kind of to budget the best as I can. I'm still struggling with kind of leftovers, but in terms of if the kids have eaten something that's not Slimming World friendly, I tend to eat it because it's leftovers and I shouldn't really waste it. However, I'm trying to be much better at them having their own leftovers. So I have my leftovers and they have their leftovers, and I'm trying to make sure I feed them things that they can have their own leftovers, whereby if it is some bits left over, I can either make it into their next meal or kind of reheat it and add it to the next meal or something like that, you know. So making sure that the foods are reheatable and re-addable in the same way as I do my own leftovers. You know, if I've made cannelloni, I've got a bit extra, I'll put that in my pot, and then I'll have you know, then the next night will be chili, but if there's a bit left over there, I'll add that to the pot, so there'll be a cannelloni and a chili, and then there'll be a little bit of kind of leftover broccoli and that sort of thing in there, so that when I want a meal I've just got this leftovers pot. So that's what I'm trying to do with the kids now, making sure I feed them things that if they do get if there is leftovers, then it's easier dealt with, if you know what I mean. I can then reuse it in their next meal. So they've got, you know, we've all got our own leftovers that we have. So that seems to be working well. There was some, you know, avoiding giving them too much sandwiches, for instance, so that they do have, I'll give them one slice and chop it into two, so they've got two little sandwiches rather than a whole four, which I used to do anyway, but just trying to, you know, those types of things, or even doing it where they've got one slice between them both, so they end up with just having one little square of sandwich each, and then they I'm just going to say goodbye, so I'm going to have to crack on and deal with lunch and all sorts of other things. So, bye bye, see you, bye.